You're not going to believe how this ends. Trust me, I was there, and even I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. So make sure you're comfortable, hit that like button if you're ready for an incredible story, and subscribe because you won't want to miss what I share next. The rain was coming down in thick, gray sheets, the kind that feels like the sky is giving up. For me, Leo, it was just another Tuesday at the end of a very long, very hard year. My world was small, carved down to two things: my 8-year-old daughter, Chloe, and my job at Hank's Auto Repair. My dreams of being a mechanical engineer had dissolved the moment my wife, Sarah, got sick. After she passed, the light just dimmed. Now, my dreams were simpler: making sure Chloe had a hot dinner, helping her with her homework, and keeping the rust bucket of a sedan we called ours from completely giving out. I was just closing up the shop, the smell of grease and gasoline a familiar comfort, when I saw it, a flash of deep blue through the water-streaked windows. A 1967 Ford Mustang, a real beauty, but it was limping, coughing and sputtering before it died right in front of the bay doors. A woman got out, her blonde hair instantly plastered to her head by the rain. She looked frustrated, but not helpless. There was a sharp intelligence in her eyes. "Looks like you're my knight in shining overalls," she said, her voice warm despite the chill. I gave her a small smile. "Let's get you out of the rain. Pop the hood." Her name was Eliza, she said. She was just passing through town. As I looked under the hood, the problem was obvious to me: a cracked distributor cap, a failing fuel pump. Simple, but it would take time and parts we didn't have in stock. "I can probably get it running well enough to get you to a motel," I told her. "But I'll need to order the parts for a real fix. It'll be tomorrow afternoon at the earliest." A shadow of genuine worry crossed her face. "Tomorrow afternoon," she repeated, almost to herself. I saw the look. It was the same one I saw in the mirror every morning, the look of someone trying to hold it all together. "Look," I said, the words out of my mouth before I could stop them. "My house is just a few blocks away. It's not much, but it's dry. You can have the couch. No charge. It's not safe to be in a strange motel alone in this weather." She studied me for a long moment, her gaze seeming to weigh the very substance of my soul. Then she nodded. "Thank you, Leo. I'd appreciate that." Back at my cramped, but tidy, apartment, Chloe was a whirlwind of curiosity. "Is she a princess, Daddy?" she whispered, staring wide-eyed at our elegant guest. Eliza didn't flinch at the chaos of a single dad's life: the crayons on the table, the laundry basket in the corner. Instead, she sat on the floor and helped Chloe build a precarious Lego castle, her laughter echoing through the small space in a way it hadn't in years. She complimented my spaghetti, a simple meal I'd stretched with extra noodles. I found myself talking, really talking, about Sarah, about the dreams I'd put in a box, about the constant, gnawing fear that I wasn't enough for my daughter. She listened, not with pity, but with a deep, profound understanding. "You're building a different kind of castle, Leo," she said softly. "One made of love and safety. And it's the most important one there is." The next day, I called in a favor to get the parts rushed, and I spent my lunch break and every free moment working on her Mustang. I didn't just fix the problems she had. I tuned the engine, polished the chrome until it shone, and fixed a sticky window mechanism she hadn't even mentioned. It wasn't just a job. It was a thank you. For seeing me, Leo, not just the struggling mechanic. For making my daughter laugh. When she came to pick it up, the sun was out, glinting off the pristine blue finish. She looked at the car, then at me, her eyes shimmering. "The bill, Leo?" she asked. I shook my head. "On the house. Just get to where you're going safely." She didn't argue. She just reached into her bag, pulled out a simple, elegant business card, and handed it to me. "If you're ever looking for work," she said, "or if you just want to talk engineering, call this number." I glanced at it. There was no company name, just Eliza Sterling, and a phone number. I nodded, tucking it into my pocket, thinking it was a polite gesture, nothing more. She got into the Mustang, the engine purring to life with a healthy, powerful rumble. With a final wave to me and Chloe, who was waving frantically from the shop doorway, she drove off. Life returned to normal. The struggle continued. A few weeks later, a letter arrived from Chloe's school about a costly extracurricular program for gifted children in STEM. She was so excited, her eyes full of the same spark her mother had. And my heart broke because I knew I couldn't afford it. The old car needed new tires. The rent was due. It was in that moment of crushing defeat that I remembered the card. With nothing left to lose, I called the number. A crisp, professional voice answered, "Sterling Innovations, Office of Ms. Sterling." I almost hung up. Sterling Innovations. The name hit me like a physical blow. It was one of the most powerful, cutting-edge tech conglomerates in the world. They built everything from life-saving medical devices to next-generation renewable energy systems. Hello. I stammered. "I'm looking for Eliza Sterling." "One moment, please." Her voice came on the line, warm and familiar. "Leo, I was hoping you'd call." "Eliza, Sterling Innovations." I managed to get out. She laughed softly. "I prefer to meet people without the title. It tends to get in the way. Now, what can I do for you?" I told her about the program for Chloe, my voice thick with shame and desperation. I wasn't asking for a handout, I insisted. Maybe she knew of a job. "Leo," she said, her tone shifting to serious. "I'm not offering you a handout. I'm offering you a job. The head of my new renewable energy division's prototyping team. I saw your work. Not just on my car, but on your own. The way you problem solved, the care you took. That's the kind of mind I need. The salary is commensurate with the position." When she told me the figure, my legs gave way. I had to sit on the floor. It was more than I'd made in the last 5 years combined. That was 3 years ago. My life, mine and Chloe's, was transformed. Not just because of the money, but because I was finally using my mind, my passion. I was building things again, important things. We moved into a safe apartment with a yard, and Chloe is thriving in her school. But the story doesn't end there. Last week, I was called into Eliza's office for a project review. After we finished, she leaned forward, her hands folded on her immense glass desk. "Leo, do you know why I really hired you?" she asked. "Because I fixed your Mustang," I said with a smile. "No," she said, her eyes soft. "It was because you had every reason in the world to be bitter, to be closed off. You were carrying a weight that would have broken most people. And yet, you saw a stranger in the rain and your first instinct was to offer her your couch. You saw my worry and you acted with pure, selfless kindness. In my world, I see a lot of brilliance, a lot of ambition. But that kind of character, that's rarer than any billion-dollar idea. I didn't just hire a brilliant engineer, Leo. I invested in a good man. So, why am I telling you this story? It's not just to share my good fortune. It's to remind you, and to remind myself, that your value isn't defined by your bank account or your job title. It's defined by your character in the storm. Your kindness, even when you have nothing left to give, is your true currency. Never, ever underestimate the power of a simple, selfless act. You never know who's watching, or how a moment of humanity can change the entire trajectory of your life. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you a little bit of hope, then do me a favor, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Because I'm going to be sharing more stories like this, stories that prove that light can be found even in the darkest of places. Thanks for watching.